With the recent events in Paris and San Bernardino, tensions are high with a lot of Americans. And in other places in the country, we've heard of backlash against Muslim Americans. And here in Austin, it's happened today. We have two guests with us tonight, Leilah and Sirat. And you had a very brash encounter this morning while having breakfast, right? Tell me a little bit about that.
So we woke up and we decided we wanted to go to Kerbey Lane. And when we got there, Leilah had to park, and I was gonna go in and grab us a table. And as we're waiting, there's an elderly man, and he's watching Leilah park through the window, and he's just kind of insulting her, criticizing her parking. And I didn't say anything, but then he said she should just go back to Saudi Arabia, where she came from. And nobody said anything. The host didn't say anything. And I'm like, excuse me. And he ignores me. And I go, excuse me. And I get up and I'm like, what did you just say? And he just repeats what he said. And I'm like, that's not okay. And he goes, the same goes for you. What, do you have a gun? Are you gonna just shoot me? Just shoot me. And nobody says anything. And I'm clearly upset. And the host sees that, and he goes in an effort to de-escalate the situation. He goes and he seats the man, and it was just kind of heartbreaking because he chose to seat a man who had just made a girl cry because he was saying such horrible things, and instead he chose to seat him. And then he comes back and he's like, here, I can seat you on the other side of the room. And I come back and I go with him, and Leilah comes in and she sees me crying, and that's when Leilah came.
Yeah, I walked in and I was confused, like, whoa, it's only been like 3 minutes, I was just parking, and I find her crying, and that really upset me, and I kept asking her what was wrong, and then she told me that, what the man had said to her, and so at this point, we didn't feel comfortable staying in the restaurant, and so we stood up, and I asked to talk to a manager. The manager came out, and I was really upset. I was kind of emotional, and I was like, so you guys just, instead of asking this man to leave, after seeing how he treated and harassed your other customers, you just sat him down like nothing happened. And then she was like, well, there's we've already seated him, there's nothing we can do at this point. And yeah, she wasn't going to do anything, and
nobody else did anything either.
Nobody else did anything either. I asked Sirat again, I was like, who's the man who did this? And she nodded in the direction of the couple, and they were just watching all of this happen. It was only a few tables away from them. And I walked up to the man and I asked him, can you please repeat what you said to my friend? And he was like, I don't want to talk to you, go away. And his wife was like, oh, he was talking to me, not your friend. I was just like,
and he said, go back to Saudi Arabia, which neither one of you are from there.
No, I was born here. I was born in Chicago. She was born in Seattle. We were born and raised here. Our parents are my parents are Palestinian, and Sirat's parents are from Iraq. But we grew up here, so that really, it's like he picked a random country and decided that's where we're from.
And here in Austin, had you ever experienced anything like that before?
No. I've only lived in Austin for a few months, and I've never experienced anything like that.
What was it like being inside that room, and just obviously he was attacking you for how you looked?
I mean, it was terrible what he said, but I think what was much worse was when they're trying to get us to leave, and Leilah says, she addresses the restaurant, and she says, horrible things were said to us, and the restaurant doesn't care, and they just want us to leave because who cares about us? And then another man in the restaurant yells, nobody. And nobody said anything, it meant, it was just, nobody cared. And that's how we felt, and that's why we left, because we assumed someone would say something. We thought somebody would have an issue with what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, Kerbey Lane has issued an apology to you.
Yeah, they have. So they reached out to Leilah, and Leilah responded, and they apologized to Leilah.
Yeah, I mean, they seemed, I mean, I don't believe that the people who own Kerbey Lane and the people who work there are Islamophobic or condone these actions, but I think in the future that Kerbey Lane, as well as other businesses, need to train their employees on how to deal with situations like this. Because if the manager or the hostess had been trained ahead of time, she would have known immediately how to deal with a situation like this.
What's your message to people who obviously are seeing all these events unfold, all these shootings, and obviously are connecting this to Islam? What is your message to people who, you know, encounter people dressed in your traditional cloth or anything like that? What do you want to tell them when it comes to treating you?
I mean, I don't think we should be treated any different from anybody else. I don't think because I wear a scarf, I should be linked to terrorism, because there's been terrorist attacks, as if the attacks from people of other races and religions that are terroristic and are forms of domestic and international terrorism they're not targeted the way we are. And because we wear our faith so visibly, we're attacked in a really, really hurtful way. And I just think anybody with any sense of humanity should know better than that.
I agree. I just hope that when people see things like this happening around them, to not just silently watch, because that just makes the experience for the person being targeted by this bigotry feel even worse. You feel like you're alone. So,
well, thank you so much for being with us tonight and for sharing your story. Hopefully a lot more people will see this as a real issue here in our own community.
Thank
you
you
for speaking with us.